So, welcome back to Leafs Fans in Hostile Lands podcast. No, that's dumb.
Rock and Roll Jeopardy was the best one.
I know, but it's such an old reference.
Yeah, that's fine.
And
we're old people. We're older than the majority of NHL players now.
Oh, Craig, you had to say that.
We'd be on the downswing of our careers and lives if we were NHL players.
We are, Craig.
We're already on the downswings of our lives anyway. Doesn't matter.
We're talking about Jake Mussin's broke ass body, and we're like a year or two older than he is.
Yes. Welcome back, everybody, to Leafs Fans in Hostile Lands podcast. We are your hosts, Dan, Kyle, and Craig, and today we're going to do a little bit differently. We're going to start with kind of a quick recap from the Leafs. They had a decent road trip. Well, it was home. They had a decent kind of hosting of some road trip teams this week, and they've got 4 points out of 6. So I'm happy with that. We got 2 points against Columbus, 2 points against Chicago, and then unfortunately we lost to Tampa. Spezza was out of the lineup, of course, this week because of his starting of I don't think it had officially started against Columbus, had it? Or was that the decision day or something like that?
That was decision day, but I think that one counts.
I think it does too.
Yeah, because he found out in the middle of that.
But anyway, it was a good game against Columbus. Matthew scores 2. No. What? I have a caveat to all of this. It's a good game if they win.
Don't get ahead of them.
Points.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the star players of the Leafs looked pretty good. Matthew scored. Riley had a fantastic game. His career best for assists, and he had an assist in 4 of those 5 goals. So in almost every one, he had his hand in that. So that was really impressive.
And that was the 4th time in his career that he did that. That's impressive.
Yeah. I was really hoping for just that 5th game to kind of solidify, or that 5th point, whichever way to solidify that run, but oh well. And then, we're feeling pretty good, but when the Leafs get up by a certain margin, 4 or 5 to something, we all get a little nervous because that's kind of what the Leafs do. And I think the theme for this week is fizzling. We kind of noticed it in all 3 games. Against Columbus, they kind of fizzled into the third period where Columbus scored 3 goals in the third and came right back, and I wasn't comfortable until the game was actually called, like the whistle blew.
I would like to know if any other fans can tell us, does any other team in this league blow as many third period leads as Toronto does? Because
there's no way.
Like we watch the Leafs and we hear about it, but do other teams blow as many third period leads as Toronto does, or give away as many goals in the third period?
Well, Toronto never comes back from being down. Like, they're never on the other side of this phenomenon.
Sometimes they are. They came back against Montreal twice in the playoffs. Didn't get anywhere. They came back against Minnesota last week. Didn't get them anywhere, but they can come back.
Okay.
But when the leads they blow are usually much, much larger than the ones that they come back from.
Yeah, it was a good outcome, obviously, for the team, but not really what we wanted to see, playoff wise. It's not playoff habits that they're currently showcasing, unfortunately.
No, it's the habits of their playoffs is what they're showing.
Craig, that's so blasphemous. Get off this podcast.
Cool thing about this game was Steves and Rubens got in. These were their first ones, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah,
we saw some guys called up to cover.
And that first game, I think Steves and Rubens did well. After that, things were a little different. I'll pass back to Dan for that.
Yeah, so then we play Tampa, and this is kind of the game we were all dreading. At least I was dreading. Tampa's pretty good, and they've been on a bit of a run lately. And so, we looked pretty good in the first period with Kosh scoring 2, right after one after another, and that was great. And then they kind of leafed it for the end of the game. The power play was working for the Leafs, and I feel that Campbell got a few bad breaks, but again, I kind of think he let in a few that he shouldn't have. Now, he's been fantastic for most of the season. For him to cool down a little bit is kind of normal.
Yeah, it's expected. He wasn't going to stay at a 946 for the entire season.
Exactly.
At some point, he's going to have to balance out. Even if he comes down to a 920, that's still going to be a great season.
Unacceptable for only one person, and that's me. the fantasy owner.
Oh, of course.
Jack Campbell.
We have high expectations with our history of goalies in Toronto, right? We only demand perfection.
Yeah. So my question to you guys is, do you think this is a case of Campbell cooling down? Is this a defensive breakdown that the Leafs kind of showed against Columbus and Tampa at the same time? Or is Tampa just that good that we're not able to surpass them right now? We'll start with Kyle.
Can I say yes?
Just all three?
Because, sure, yeah, Campbell's going to cool down, or he's going to have ups and downs, and this was a bit of a down week for sure. The defense is bad again, and that's really not good. How did our defense get so bad losing Sandin and Dermott? Are you kidding me?
The heart and soul of the defense.
Apparently.
I don't think he's having an awesome year.
I don't think the defense has been bad. I think Justin Hall has been bad.
Yes.
And Muzzin.
Yeah, you're right, Kyle. Muzzin isn't playing.
But Muzzin's a one-man defenseman at this point. Like,
I don't even know. Like, some of his decisions, and he just shakes his head afterwards, too. He's like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
And then Hall, can't. There's always one Leaf, and it's usually a defenseman, and we always pick on him. It used to be Gardner. Last year was Riley. We picked on him a lot. This year is Hall.
At times.
This one is so warranted. It's just so bad. And Muzzin's getting no help, but also he looks bad. And that's bad.
Which is so wild because they looked so great last season. Like, what has happened? Sure, Muzzin has lost a bit of a step this season, it looks like. I don't know if we would say it might be an injury. But what is going on with Justin Hall? Like, he was our go-to guy last year. And this year, he just can't seem to make a decision when it comes into a 2-on-1. He doesn't seem to want to take anybody. Unfortunately, Muzzin isn't fast enough to get back. They want to keep the offense going, so they've got him pinching. And he just doesn't seem to know what to do. He doesn't take the like, he doesn't take the pass, he doesn't take the shooter. He just kind of goes, I got both. No, I've got nobody.
And I think it was the third game. It was a 2-on-1. Rubens kind of had one guy,
and Hall goes for the same guy.
The same guy.
It didn't make any sense.
Go for the other one. What are you doing?
And they both take the shooter,
frustrating.
And nobody takes the pass.
Yeah.
So guess what's going to happen?
Obvious goal.
You're gonna pass. Yeah.
Mrazek had no chance on that.
Speaking of Mrazek, great segue, Kyle. So against Chicago, we pulled out the win. But I was super worried after that first shot. I think it was Taves that even shot it too, wasn't it? The first goal against Mrazek?
Yep.
Yeah, so we start, and minutes into the game, I am sitting, no, I don't even think it was a minute. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, Mrazek was a mistake. So he let in his first shot on him. Not a great start. He'd just come back from injury. He's warming up. I kind of chalked it up to that. And then for the second period, he kind of blew us away. He was making every possible save. It was so much fun to watch. He looked like Campbell out there. He looked like, one of the top all-star goalies. And then the third period, he kind of cooled down a bit. The Leafs managed to squeak out the win. Their power play was on fire. And, they had a lot of offense from their top players. I think it was Matthews, Tavares, and Nylander that kind of led the scoring there. Kampf, and then someone else. I'm missing somebody, but
Engvall.
Yes, Engvall. Thank you. First goal from him in a long time, which was fantastic. So again, Chicago has been struggling this season. The Leafs probably should have won by a bigger margin. Do we think that's Mrazek's fault, or do we think that's just the cooling down that the Leafs are doing in general?
I wouldn't blame that one on Mrazek. Maybe one of them was on him, maybe two, but most of the time either they were hanging him out to dry or he was screened. Like on the one goal, he didn't even see it because he has three of his own guys standing in front of him taking nobody. So there's passes wide open. He's got to cover everybody, and he's got no eyes on it. I think he played fine after that first goal. I was actually just getting off work. I sat in the car and I turned the hockey game on the radio and I hear goal and I go back to the audiobook. And by the time I get home, Toronto is up 3-1. So yeah, it was really nice to see Mrazek settle down after that. And unfortunately, Toronto, after they got those 3 goals, they didn't really want to shoot the puck and only had 3 shots in the second period. So Mrazek kind of had to...
I saw that. I couldn't believe that.
Yeah. And Mrazek stood on his head for the third period, and the Leafs didn't really get any better at any point after that. and they just allowed Chicago to claw back in and tie the game back up. It was really lucky that David Kampf scored that goal to avoid overtime. And the best was Kyle Dubas's face after that goal. I remember watching that and going, that guy doesn't even look happy. He just sees this and goes,
he just looked relieved, really.
yeah.
It's just like, what the fuck is hockey?
Yeah, that was a weird bounce. And for him to go back and grab it, I get it. Like any goalie would do that. And then you come back out and you're kind of screwed.
The face kind of remind me of the face I make when I'm playing video games and I'm playing a really hard, long boss fight. And you die and you die and you die. And then you finally beat him and you're just like, I'm not even happy to beat this anymore. I'm just glad it's over.
Yeah. Kyle, anything to add on that game?
This power play is on fire, and it's so fun to watch. Like, often I am screaming at the TV, and my wife knows this, and she's like, "Can you tone?" And I'm like, "I can't.
No,
I can't. There's no off. There's no off switch for this. I'm sorry." But when I see what they're doing on the power play and some of the goals they have, I'm speechless, and I melt. I crumble. Sometimes I'm on my knees, just like
weeping.
Guys, so good. Why can't you do this all the time or have a defense?
Yeah, why
It's
can't,
so
why
much
can't we have
fun.
both? Why can't we have a power play and a 5-on-5? Last year they were great on
Oh,
5-on-5
wouldn't that
and
be
couldn't
nice?
score on the power play. They were great on 5-on-5. This year they're
Yep.
terrible at 5-on-5 and score every time on the power play. What's going on?
This sounds like my golf game. Sorry, it sounds like everyone's golf game. Oh, I can drive it off the tee. Boom. Chunk, and super awesome 50-foot putt. What the hell? And then the next day, can't drive it off the tee. Got it on in 2. And can't putt worse shit. Wow, life.
So to be fair, I think we had like a good quarter of the last season where the power play and the 5-man was really hot. So that was the one like time we've really had it all.
Yeah, that was fun.
And then they leafed it. But
Yeah.
that's kind of to be expected.
Yo, they're gonna leaf it this year, and it's not their fault. Do you see the standings right now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Like-
you mean in the first round of the playoffs?
Yeah. If we
It's
started
going to be a
the
brutal
playoffs, if we started the playoffs today, we'd be against the Lightning.
Or the Bruins.
If the Leafs go up to first, yeah, you're right. They face the Bruins, and if they go down the third, they face the Lightning or the Panthers. Like,
Mhm.
there's no win. Like, why would you want a good record? I feel like Tampa's got this in the bag. Like, they're figuring it out.
They've had a good last 10. They're 7-2-1. So, they're shaking off the start.
Without Kucherov or Point. Like,
Yeah. good
$20
point.
million off the books.
Well, they have Vasilevsky. That kind of helps, right?
Yeah.
Now, would you rather see the Leafs play the Tampa Bay Lightnings, the reigning Stanley Cup champions, the Florida Panthers with Joe Thornton, or Boston with Nick Foligno, who would be the Conn Smythe winner?
Tampa. Because lightning doesn't strike thrice.
I hope not. I love that band.
No, Boston. 100%. Like, revenge story.
But wouldn't you just be the most nervous you've ever been through that whole series?
I'd be nervous for all of them.
Well, yeah, that's good. That's a good
But I
point.
would love it that much more. Like, if they beat Tampa, wow, that'd be so awesome. But if they beat Boston, who cares what happens next? It's just like, suck it, Boston.
I almost don't want that to happen because I feel like the city of Toronto would be on fire.
Maybe. Maybe.
Leafs fans
We
would
don't
burn
live
that
there.
city to the ground.
But then think about, like, if you beat Boston, your expectations are that you're going to continue. And when they don't, I think that's almost worse than not beating Boston in the first place or losing to Tampa or something like that. I don't
Well,
know
you're
if
going to face Tampa in the second round anyway. So.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
It's first or
just
second.
it's bad conference to be back in right now. I kind of want to go back to the Canadian conference. We're going to talk Senators because, of course, we love our Senators fans and we tolerate the Senators team. And we are having some amazing giveaways this week on the podcast. So we thought we'd lean into the Sens theme a little bit. And it's a perfect week to do it because they've won 4 of their last 5 and they're not looking too bad right now. Forsberg's looking pretty good in net. Brady Tkachuk had his first hat trick versus Tampa. They had a huge shutout win against Tampa. First career shutout for Forsberg as well. Is this the start of the upswing for Tampa, or is this just a fake out? What do you think, Craig?
So at one point earlier this season, Pierre Dorian said, we just need some goaltending. We need someone to step forward and make some saves, and that is what is going to propel us to some success. And that's been Forsberg right now. He had his first shutout. That was great for him. It looks like Kachuk has been bitten by a radioactive Lemieux, and he is just a superhero right now on the ice with that first career hat trick. I think things are great for the Ottawa Senators right now. And I think they just need to get some wins under their belt. And we saw what they did last season. They were one of the best teams in the second half of the season in the entire league. And unfortunately, they dug themselves so much of a hole at the beginning, they didn't have a chance to get out of it. But right now, there is still 2/3 of a season left. They still have a chance to dig themselves out of a hole. And it looks like that fourth team in the Atlantic isn't really all that strong. Like, that's Boston right now. It's very possible that the Ottawa Senators can still continue some momentum and make a push for that wild card spot.
Yeah, they've had a tough start for sure. They're second last in the division with 17 points compared to, let's just pick a random one. The Leafs at 40.
Hey, St. Louis was bottom of the league at New Year's, and they went on to win the Stanley Cup, so it's possible.
That's fair, and I kind of hate that you just said that, but if that's what makes Ottawa win the Cup this year, I'm fully blaming it on you, Craig. Kyle, is this the start of the upswing for the Sens, or is this a fake out?
I think it's a response to what was said about the goaltenders, and Craig was right. Forsberg is holding them. I don't think it has any chance of sustaining. I think it's all right. They had a big win against the Lightning. They lost to the Islanders. They shootout win, OT win, barely a win against Carolina. Now, these are good teams they're beating for sure, but the losses are definitely still sprinkled in. We're not getting sustained wins, I would say. The one thing I do want to say is Drake Batherson is a monster, and oh my God, his contract is the best. Under $5 million.
Oh, Jesus.
4.975 for the next 6 years.
They have him locked in.
Wow. Well done, Pierre Dorian. That's a great contract. The problem is he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 contracts to potentially re-sign.
Oh, boy.
On forward alone. And I bet he wants to bring a solid amount of them back. So good for Drake Batherson. Awesome for Brady Tkachuk. After that, not a lot of depth. Yeah. So I don't
think you'll see a lot of Belleville Senators coming up at this point. Honestly, the Belleville Senators are a solid team in the AHL right now, and I think there's probably 4 or 5 of those guys they'll be able to slot in next year, and hopefully actually be able to sign some veterans to fill out that roster around them. I know they tried to do that last year with players like Derek Stepan, and unfortunately that didn't work out. But if Ottawa can bring in some veterans to fill in around, the core that they have signed, maybe re-sign a couple of those players, bring up some Belleville Senators, and if they continue to get some goaltending, they can still string together some wins and maybe slide into the playoffs.
Well, Craig, you talked about bringing players up. Ottawa's actually recently been sending players down as kind of the new trend. Murray was sent down last week, and then Del Zotto just recently was sent down, which is a pretty big, that's a lot of cap hit for this year. I think it's $6 million that they're going to be paying for them playing in the minors. Murray was pretty highly touted this season as their starter, and that's kind of what they expected they'd go with, and now he's in the minors. Del Zotto, they expected a lot more from him when they brought him over from, I think, Columbus, and now he's not playing the way they want, and sending him down to the minors for now. We'll see if he comes back. Unfortunately that the Sens have to do that kind of move, but we're doing it also on the Leafs to cover injuries. But unfortunately, it's not really the same situation with the Sens. Murray was a bit of a surprise for me. Do you guys agree with that? I didn't expect it, given the tout that they were giving him at the start of the year. Craig, what do you think?
See, he had a rough year last year. He had a rough year the last year in Pittsburgh. This is kind of the trend we've been seeing with Matt Murray. It's not really a surprise. And really also what's not surprising is if we know one thing about Eugene Melnyk is that he loves spending money unnecessarily on guys. It is his favorite thing. I'm sure he is just loving having Matt Murray playing in Belleville. He's a marketing tool for the Belleville Senators to get some guys out. Look, NHL goalie.
I think it makes sense.
Oh, it definitely makes sense. I think they need to send him down to give him to get his confidence back up.
And nobody was going to claim him. Like, that's
No.
way too much money to take on.
Yeah.
Well, everyone kind of scratched their heads when Ottawa signed him to a $6 million contract.
Yeah.
Well, they were expecting big things from him, which didn't really pan
but
out.
no one else was.
Yeah, and
They were looking that they said that's a gamble. That might be a $2 million. Oh, $6. Okay.
I think we even said a couple times, oh, yeah, we should go get Murray. That'd be great. That'd be a good replacement for Anderson.
I think we were saying it as a backup to Anderson.
Okay. Or to Campbell.
I think we were talking about Murray before the pandemic.
Yes, because he signed.
He signed at the beginning there.
He signed 2 years ago.
Yeah, we've been talking about him for a while.
Yeah.
That was back when he was good. Or
whoa.
no, okay.
I just found
sorry.
an Ottawa player. Season opening injured reserve. Angus. Is that how you say
Angus?
that? Angus
Like the steak?
Crookshank. What an epic name. Angus Crookshank. Good on those parents right there.
Yeah, there's a British name if I've ever heard one.
That's awesome.
So Ottawa continues to, not have a great season, but they did have a first this year, which was pretty cool. They brought in the first female color commentator in the game versus the Islanders. So I listened to a bit of it. I listened to part of the second period, and I think it's a really refreshing take on color commentary. It's also just nice to hear another voice. The downside, I don't think she was given as much time as she should have to talk. I mean, the play-by-play was taking a little bit, I don't want to say liberties, but I'll say filling silence. It was unfortunate that he didn't really give her a chance to talk all the time, but I think it's a step in the right direction. We've talked about bringing, more diversity to the NHL as a whole. So it's kind of nice to see that happen.
Yeah, as three white guys sitting here talking about hockey, yes, please, let's have more diversity in this league. And let's get rid of Gary Bettman while we're at it.
I'm going to be sticking around for a long time. Oh, shut up, you loser.
What would make you think I was going anywhere?
Oh, get him out.
Yeah, you like that comment, eh? That was pretty pompous by him to throw that out there.
Yeah.
But really, it's Bettman. Do you expect anything else from him?
No.
He's the owner's bitch, and the owners love him, so that's why he's going to be around.
We now know the outcome of the Spezza hit. 6 games against Pionk for that knee to the face. They're appealing, of course. I don't think the appeal would yield any results, but do you guys think 6 games is fair? Knowing what we've seen in the league for the last 4 years? Kyle, what do you think?
No. Should have been less. It was relatively non-intentional in terms of the end result, and by comparison with precedent, I don't know where they got 6 from, because there's been so many other similar acts that get less, that get a fine, and I'm like, you threw Jason Spezza to the dogs? Really? This is your offering?
The nicest guy.
Yeah, so the fact that they're appealing, I think, makes sense. Will it go anywhere? I don't know. It might take 6 games to appeal.
Now, I did hear something nice about that. Because we had the postponed game against Calgary, that the 6th game will be stretched 1 game farther. So it gives them more time for Gary Bettman to get around to possibly looking at this appeal. So one little possibly silver lining, Gary Bettman might actually get off his ass before the suspension's over. Because obviously Spezza doesn't care about the salary. It's $20,000.
Right. He wants to play. And we want him to play. Like, we have noticed his absence.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Kasha's done really well in the first power play unit, though. So good for him for taking Spezza's spot there.
He did step up for sure, but he's just doesn't have the experience of Spezza,
Fair.
Yeah, I was going to say, you asked actually 2 separate questions there. A, was it fair? And B, was that what we expected based on what we've seen?
Right.
Was 6 games for what he did there fair? Probably. yes, it was unintentional, but there was intent for a hit to this guy as retribution. Should other people be getting much bigger suspensions around the end of the NHL? Absolutely. Now, what he got was probably fair. What we expected looking at everyone else? No.
I am not totally opposed to 6 games. I do think he kind of leaned in. I think it had been a rough game against Winnipeg, and I think he may have let his emotions get a little bit the best of him.
Agreed.
6 games is tough to swallow, especially for a player that doesn't really get suspensions like him. So that's unfortunate, but I don't think it's totally off the rails.
Oh, perfect. Let's do a segue right now to our new segment. We have Megan Britton with us, but Dan, what are we going to call this?
We're going to do what I like to call Talk with Wife. And this is where we're going to show her 7 hits that resulted in some kind of disciplinary action this year in the NHL. And she's going to rank them to see which she thinks is the worst and which she thinks is the least offensive. Are you ready, wife?
Ready.
Okay.
Oh, ready.
Okay, yeah, talking to the mic, dear.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay. So this is the first hit right here.
Whose am I looking at?
This one you're going to be watching. Tom Wilson hits Panarin.
I didn't even see the puck.
Okay, so if you look at the right side of the net, you'll see a scrum down to the side. So watch the defenseman in blue. He's going to fall down, and the guy on top of him
He
gives him-
sucker punched him.
sucker punched him to the back of the head.
The back of the head.
So if you continue watching, you'll see another guy
hold.
jump on his back. This is our Timmy Panarin. So watch him. Watch what happens to him coming up here. So he grabs him, slams him, grabs his hair, slams him again, and continues to pile on top of him. Now, Tom Wilson is about 220 pounds and 6'3". Panarin is, I think, 5'10" and about 170 pounds. So
Who was
very
hitting who?
outmatched.
Oh, okay. So the little guy was getting beat
Oh,
up.
he was the one getting ragdolled. Yeah. So Dan, you can pause it now.
The little guy was getting beat up. Yeah. That's exactly. Okay.
And how many hits did he take? He got sucker punched and then beat up again?
So it was a different guy that got sucker punched, and then his teammate came in to pull Tom Wilson off of him, and then got ragdolled afterwards. So it was 2 different players that Tom Wilson.
Okay, I'm
Took
watching.
it, basically.
Okay.
The punch in the head, and then
So I see. Oh,
there's the jab in the head.
and then, oops, sorry. I got excited. So who am I rating, though? Because there's 2 fighters.
So
Like the
the
first
guy
one,
that
the
the sucker
guy
punch.
that got the punch to the back of the head?
The one in white.
Oh, God, this is so confusing.
You-
Hockey, okay. Hockey's not my strong suit.
Everybo's
That's why
fighting.
you're
We
here.
haven't even got to the confusing stuff yet. It's so much worse.
Oh, my God,
Yeah.
it's harder.
Okay, so but that's hit number 1, okay? That's
Okay, so I got
suspension
hit
number 1.
Suspension number 1, clear sucker punch.
Yeah. And Craig, why don't you give her the range of suspensions? The worst of these is 2 games, and the
the
most
worst in
lenient?
this series is 6 games. A bunch of them that are 2-game suspensions, and then there are a few that are only fines.
Fines. Okay.
Yeah,
I would say knowing
$5,000
what
fine.
I know about hockey, that's a fine.
Okay, this is going well so far. Okay, are you ready for number 2?
Yeah, like unsportsmanlike conduct.
This is the Neil Pionk hit on Rasmus Sandin.
So watch the player in blue that is kind of center of the screen right now.
This guy.
Right there.
That's white.
Well, this guy.
Okay, that's blue.
Yeah. Okay, ready?
So he's going to stick his knee out and
You see
take
it?
the guy in white
That's the hit.
out.
So it's
I've seen.
Winnipeg hitting Toronto.
So
That's like nothing. But was that even purposeful?
now so the guy in blue does have a bit of a history of throwing out knees.
So Rasmus Sandin is the Leaf player, and he's down. And Pionk, what does he receive for that? So write that down.
All right, Dan, if you can do the Ian Cole one next and Mark Scheifele.
Deal. Ready for
Okay, so this is another kneeing for comparison.
I guess I don't know. Like that doesn't. Hockey players beat each other up. Like that doesn't seem that bad.
This was the Mikhail Sergachev hit on Mitch Marner a couple weeks ago.
The
That's
player in
number
blue
three.
is getting hooked while going for the puck. So he's being slowed down while he's going in toward the goalie. And then you'll see a player come out from the other side.
Oh, did he take that to the face?
Yes, he took that to
Yeah.
right to the face.
Oh, that is a suspension.
Yeah, this one pissed me off because
for
he was
sure.
just about to take a breakaway.
Well, he should, because like the other hit, he wasn't in play. Like the other guy, he had already shot and then he got the knee. But like this, that was like
Marner
a
was in
deliberate
play.
Yeah. And then it was like a gangbang on him. Like they both hit him.
It was indeed. That's
I don't
the
think we've ever
perfect way
said that
of
on a
describing it.
podcast. I'm so happy.
Okay, that is like, I'm gonna say definite suspension. And that seems pretty serious. So I'm gonna say 4 because I don't know what number 6 would look like.
Okay. So this is Gabriel Landeskog making a hit on Chicago's Kirby Dach. So you'll see as it comes up around the boards, comes up to the center, Dach will have the puck and he'll fall and be in a vulnerable position, and Landeskog will continue through with the hit and hit him into the boards.
Okay. So what I think I know about hockey is that any players in vulnerable positions like that who are deliberately hit get into a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just can't watch that too many times. He just crunches
That
him into
I'm
the
gonna
board.
say is a 6 gamer.
Stan, if you can do the, Connor McDavid on a hit from behind on Adrian Kempe of the LA Kings. So it's right down in the corner there. You'll see the guy has his face to the glass, and McDavid comes through and just hits him right on the numbers, face into the glass.
Oh,
And that's Connor McDavid, who's not really known for big hits like that.
No, he's known to be the fastest player in the league.
I think that was I think that was an accident.
You're going to go easy on him, eh?
Well, I don't know. He wasn't really. I don't think that was as purposeful as the last one we saw. But
Okay.
it was a face, and I know they don't like head injuries. I'm
Mhm.
gonna say 4 game.
All right, last but not least, we have Jason Spezza on his hit on Neil Pionk.
Oh, that was like the Perry hit from last year.
A lot of people compared that.
Oh, well done, Megan.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying the same thing, that, you know,
What was that guy doing, hitting it with his hand though?
he didn't
Can
have
you
a stick.
hit a puck?
No,
Can you hit
Yeah.
a puck with your hand?
yes, just not in the goal crease.
Okay. Do you know what? I was going to say that wasn't deliberate, but you saw him lean into the knee. Look here. Like, oh no, he's there. Haha. You see? Like, it was like, oh, I wasn't expecting you to be on your hands and knees, but now
That's
that
what she
you
said.
are, that title of your sex tape.
Oh my god, this needs to be a new segment. It's bad hockey commentary with Megan, or violent hockey commentary.
But yeah, like,
Okay, so where would you rank that?
I'm going to say that's a 6er.
Okay, Craig, let's have the results, buddy.
Okay, you know what? You were actually very close to what people actually got. So for the very first one, the Tom Wilson sucker punch, that
Mhm.
was a fine. You were right about
Yeah.
that. So the second one, the kneeing injury, Neil Pionk, I believe you said it was a suspension. It was a 2-game suspension, so you're right on that.
Look, I put 2.
You did put 2.
I guess the Ian Cole, Mark Scheifele kneeing, the second one we saw, that was a fine. That was a $5,000
And I
fine.
put a 0. I put a 0 and a 2 because I wasn't quite sure.
Gabriel Landeskog on Kirby Dach, that was a 2-game suspension. The guy that was
Oh, really?
hit into the boards.
Wait,
one.
that one?
That was a
That
2-game
one.
was a
suspension.
2-game suspension?
yeah.
That was 2 games.
That was vicious.
Connor McDavid on Adrian Kempe was no discipline.
Okay. So that makes sense then.
And finally, Jason Spezza was 6 games.
6.
Yes. The third longest suspension for a on-ice event in the last 3 years.
Okay. So
Fourth longest.
I don't think that's fair to give him a 6 and the other guy, what did you, a 2 or something?
Yeah, the Kirby Dach and Gabriel
Because I
Landeskog.
put that as the same level of hit. Like that was
As the Spezza hit.
yeah.
And then the Tom Wilson one, the very, very first one, was only a fine. He was ragdolling him, like bashing his head in. I can't believe that was a fine.
And that's
Oh,
so
wait,
much
wait.
after the play, too. I mean, you think, like, there's got to be extra rules if you're beating somebody up after the play.
Vicious.
So I don't know if we've proved a point or not in this, since Megan decided
Like,
more
I
or
think
less.
She
Megan proved to
agreed.
us she knows more about hockey than we expected.
I didn't expect her
Yes.
to name the Perry hit.
Come on.
No, I
There we
totally
go.
didn't.
It was
pay
the
attention
lack
a
of the
little bit.
faith in the NHL that had you pick a couple of those, like this Tom Wilson one we're watching. You said that was a fine because you know the NHL.
Well, I knew that was a fine, but he only hit him once, right?
Well, and then he takes another guy down after.
See, that should have been a separate fine then,
Like,
or
Something.
suspension.
Something, yeah.
Like
There
that's
should have been some
ridiculous.
action.
But I really don't. I disagree with the hit into the boards. That was intention to hurt.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Well, that
Thanks,
was fun.
wife. That's been Talk with Wife. Thanks so much, Megan, for joining us on the podcast.
Bye. Put that back.
Can't believe she aligned almost perfectly.
yeah, that was great.
It shows that she knows more about hockey than we do.
Yeah, apparently.
Or has just as little faith in hockey as we do. Or
Yes.
the NHL.
So does the NHL do this for the casual fan? Because the casual fan seem to want to go, yeah, that's right.
To attract the new fan.
The new fan that just wants blood.
Yeah, well, I mean, you heard the commentary over the weekend. You heard what Tortorella said, right?
Oh God, which one was that? I do remember. Oh, how that goal was bad for the game.
Yeah, exactly. He's not interested in attracting the new fan. He's interested in maintaining
Yeah.
the status quo of the hardcore quote unquote fans.
The rough game, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe that's, kind of what the NHL is trying to back up.
Tortorellus Rex, because he's a
What?
dinosaur.
What?
Tortorella's Rex. Tortosaurus Rex.
Tortorellosaurus? Tortorellosaurus? Tortorellosaur.
The J Tortosaurus
Tortellini.
Rex.
Tortellini, shut up, Torts. We don't like you.
Is that like a Don Cherryism with Jack Cappuccino, the old coach of the New York Islanders?
Oh, man. You know what? I want them to bring back Coach's Corner, except I want PK Subban doing it, Player's Corner, and he's got to wear the Don Cherry suits.
Oh,
I think
God,
that'd be
yes,
the best. And Ron
please.
McClain. Throw him in.
And Ron
like,
McClain and
literally,
Subban's
as
playing
if
the
this
piano.
segment didn't go away, and now Don Cherry's black and not an asshole.
And just
Like-
nobody noticed the change.
Yeah.
We
He's
just
like,
all
"Oh, he's
accept
back.
that
I'm so
Subban's there
excited."
now.
Yeah. And
Okay.
he does the piano stuff too. Like he's touching the Bring, bring, bring.
I want to see PK Subban and Roberto Luongo. I think the pair of them as the intermission,
Oh, that'd
that
be
would
funny.
be hilarious.
But just Roberto Luongo responding on Twitter. Like not actually speaking. Just
You like
all
his
his
like
responses.
quips.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
I got a couple questions for you guys, just to get your thoughts on them. Actually, some new breaking news from Montreal that they are now considering 3 different women. They didn't name names in the press conference, but they're considering 3 women for the position of GM. What do you guys think of that? Like, I kind of have an idea where you're going to go with it. We talked about it last week, but let's get your opinions, and we'll start with Kyle.
Yes. Do it. They literally just doubled their hiring pool by allowing women to also be bilingual GMs. Like, this is an extremely smart move. And to be the first team to do it, the most historic hockey team, like, you can't write that.
Who have been embroiled in some controversies lately as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
By
good
doing
point.
something like that, I don't want to say it's for the publicity, but it definitely wouldn't hurt the whole Logan Mailloux situation.
Yeah, Montreal needs a bit of an image fix right now.
They can use a win.
Speaking of another team that can use a win, the Vancouver Canucks, currently second last.
They
in the
can't lose.
division.
Yeah, they're 4-0 since
Yeah.
their changes.
Bruce, there it is. That's right.
Yeah, and hire Jim Rutherford as president,
Yeah.
who's now said he's got a short list of 40 GMs that he's going to pick from. I doubt any of those are going to be women, but what do you guys think? Good move for the Canucks?
It's going to be Peter Chiarelli.
Oh,
No.
really?
No, I just know the
No.
AHL. It's going to be Peter Chiarelli.
No.
Oh, God.
No. Please, no.
What, you don't want to trade Pedersen for, I don't know, Adam Larson?
No. No. 40? And you don't think there's any women?
I don't think so. I would expect with Montreal releasing that news Vancouver would have also said something like that. But that's not what Rutherford said. Right now, he said he's got a short list of 40, and that's what he's picking from. So
I can't think of 40.
the Montreal news came out after, so there may be a bit of a sentiment change there. But he's what, history with Pittsburgh and Carolina, so he's got old school roots. I don't really just see him diverting from the plan, quote unquote.
I heard Botterill's name being thrown around, and he was one of the very short GMs for the Buffalo Sabres.
He was supposed to be the guy. Yeah, when they fired Murray, I think it was.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be the guy that was going to lead them through, and I think he got fired by Jack Eichel, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think he had said to the ownership, no, get this guy gone. And that worked.
So I hope not that guy, even though he seems to be one of the front runners. And then there was another guy that's currently in Pittsburgh who took over for Rutherford when he left. Can't remember his name right now, but that could be an option. And it seems like a Rutherford right-hand man sort of thing. I expect it'll be something like that, but I hope it's not. I hope it's, fresh face. Go for it. Or a Sedin. That'd be nice.
That'd be pretty cool. It'd be neat to see that come full circle.
So do they count as one or two people on his list?
They're one. They're just a combined. Yeah, they're one on the ice. They're one in the office as well. Okay, so another kind of topic with Canadian teams, or let's say Canadian players, the Olympics are coming up in February, I believe. And there's been some talk of who from the Leafs would potentially be able to go to the Olympics, or who would want to go to the Olympics. But there's also a little bit of, problem if they go to the Olympics and they get tested and they get positive. They're kind of stuck there for a few weeks and they lose a bunch of pay. So right now, the potential Leafs that would go to the Olympics would be kind of like the top ones. Marner, Riley, Tavares, Muzzin, probably from the Canadian side of the Leafs. Matthews is a shoe-in, I would think, if he wants to go.
He's on the short list of 3 that's already been picked.
Oh, has he really? Okay,
yeah,
I didn't see that.
Him, Kane, and for some reason, Seth Jones.
What?
Yeah, those are the 3 American players.
I get Kane. Why Jones?
Because he was Stan Bowman's big new signing as the GM of the Chicago Blackhawks, and he was also the GM of the United States team at the time. He's like, hey, look, it's my guy. He's not going to be very good this season.
Yeah, fair enough. So do you guys think we see some Leafs go to the Olympics? Do you think they're going to take that chance, or do you think they're going to kind of huddle down and play the NHL?
You know what? If you'd asked me 3 days ago, I would have said we would have seen quite a few of them going. But with these new guidelines, I'm more questionable about whether or not guys, even like Austin Matthews, who wants to play for Team America, probably more than maybe even being a Leaf. But will he jeopardize 3 to 5 weeks with the Leafs to play for Team USA? What's up, Kyle?
Sorry. Team America. America! Fuck yeah!
You're loving the references tonight, eh, Kyle?
It's like, but I've never called it that. Like the hockey
Team
team is Team USA. But it's like, if you think about it, it could just be Team America. That movie ruined or made that team awesome.
And I feel like the Canadian players would be even more hesitant. Like John Tavares, does he want to sit out for 5 weeks if he can't play? I feel like it might even just be a cultural thing that the Canadian guys are going to be more hesitant to go over for that kind of thing. And like cases aren't that great over there right now as it is.
Yeah, I think the only one that I'm not so much worried about, but like worried that he might not want to go is Tavares. I think everyone else is young enough. They're like, I want to go. I'm going.
Yeah.
And I'm going to risk this, and I'm going to be super smart about it. So Matthews, I think, would definitely go. He's got the swagger for it. Marner, if he's back in time, for sure. Jack Campbell, maybe, if they do pick him up. I feel like maybe he's got more of a level head and might not be so gung-ho.
I don't think so. I think he would be really worried about getting injured over there or getting COVID, and he's going to be the Leafs guy.
He's definitely considered the Leafs starter, so we don't want to see Campbell in any kind of position where there's going to be any risk. Now, I did read an article today where they were talking about the potential of Mrazek going. That kind of makes more sense, and then, at least we're not throwing our best, our top guy right now into the fire. Kyle, what do you think? Think there's a chance?
Mrazek's Finland, right?
Mrazek is Czech, I think.
Oh, yeah. He'll probably go if he's on a good run. I don't see why not. Who would be the other Czech goalie? It is eluding me right now.
Oh God.
Nedeljkovic, is he
I think so.
Czech Republic? I think so.
David
I feel
Riddick.
like he might get... Riddick would probably be 3.
Yeah, but I see him being on the team.
Yeah. I can see Nedeljkovic being the guy if he is from Czech Republic, and then Mrazek being the backup. They're just looking for players, and the best players are in the NHL. So I don't see that being a problem. Except
Speaking
for
of top
the Leafs.
goalies, sorry, did you guys hear that Robin Lehner has backed out of the Olympics?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
So
might
there
be a
goes
bit of a
their-
trendsetter.
the 1B for the for Team Sweden.
Well, Markstrom's more on a tear this year, like he's the hotter goalie, but you never know in international play.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. I would think decisions are probably going to be made over the next few weeks as to what happens, but I think you guys are right. Like, we're at least going to see Matthews go, and then if Marner's feeling better in time, he'll follow Matthews for sure. So we'll probably see some movement like that.
And the other thing about the Olympics, sorry, is that the guys don't. We talk about it whether or not if you get COVID while you're there in the downtime afterwards. Even while they're there, you can't do anything. You can't really go out to see any other events. You basically are locked into your dorm when you're not participating. It sounds like the protocols over in Olympic Village is going to be very tight. So I don't know. I feel like guys might be really more hesitant going, I'm going to play hockey, but I can't do anything else. And they kind of went through that all last year. A lot of guys had a hard time with the protocols in the AHL last year. And that's basically what they're going to have to deal with for 3 weeks straight. So I think it's just a very hard decision for the guys whether or not they want to go through that to play.
You know, to be fair, the Olympics last in Japan, the cases weren't really bad coming out of it. I mean, they had obviously a number of cases, but it wasn't, game changer or anything like that. So thank you everybody for joining us for this week's podcast. Now, keep in mind, we have 2 contests currently running on Instagram. We have the original ticket giveaway versus the Penguins and the Ottawa Senators that is just flying off the shelves. So make sure you get your name in there before that expires on Christmas Eve. And then we also have the game against the Blues coming up. I think the game's on the 21st. We're closing the contest on the 17th. So get your name in there on Instagram. Follow us and like us on all your social media platforms. And until next time.
Go, let's go.
Radio silence.
Aren't you supposed to say it first?
No, it's always you guys that are not the host that says it first.
That's false. I always say it first when I host.
Then go Leafs, go.
Go Leafs, go.
Dan's trying to sound sexy, and Kyle still just sounds like the Tiger King.
Exactly.
The Tiger King.
Go, let's go, motherfucker.